All right, welcome back to the STR podcast, otherwise known as the Start the Rebuild podcast. I'm your co-host Tim Fournier, alongside Ian Mills.
What's going on, folks? It's number 25, a quarter century.
Yes, otherwise known as the Melvin Gordon episode, Wisconsin version, and he
Other
also changed
known,
his number to that in the NFL.
other note,
Otherwise,
also known as LaShawn McCoy, Buffalo Bills.
yeah, Richard Sherman.
Richard Sherman, Barry Bonds, the greatest baseball player of all time.
How about this one? This is like everyone's favorite running back of the 2010s, Jamaal Charles.
Ooh,
I don't know about favorite, but everyone has a soft spot for Jamaal Charles for some
I
reason.
mean, he was the number one guy in Madden. You did a fantasy draft,
You're like, I
and you
want
pick
Jamal
him in like the
Charles.
fifth
I think
round
it
of
might be because he has a sick name.
Jamal. Well, he also was like I want to say
Really good.
ahead of his time, but like him and Matt Forte really were just like I feel like they were
Yeah.
both good receiving
They were
backs.
like dominant in fantasy football.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jamal Charles and Matt Forte were like that would get me going when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I love
I would just see that and say, hell yeah.
oh man, Matt Forte, baby. Why we need another Matt Forte in the league, you know. We had Alvin Kamara for a little bit. You know, he was sort of
Still
similar in
do.
a lot
He's
of
still
ways.
good. But we need the next guy, you're saying.
We need the next. Well, also Alvin Kamara. It's the issue with him is he's on the Saints. Well, I guess Matt Forte was on the Bears, who stunk.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
kind of is the Matt Forte. Still is the
I
Matt Forte.
mean, I mean, what do you mean by that though? The Matt Forte, like what qualifies as the Matt Forte? Like, are you talking about like a receiving back, or are you talking about?
Basically, just a receiving back who I guess Alvin Kamara basically is just Matt Forte now that I think
I
about it
mean, I don't
because
know if you can say like Jameer Gibbs. I don't know if you can say like
but the thing with Matt Forte,
Bijan.
the thing about Matt Forte, okay, but here's the thing. Matt Forte would be on like an 8-win Bears team and put up like 1,300 all-purpose yards on a team
Well, that's not
that,
that good.
huh?
Well, 1,300 is not that good.
Well, right, more than 1,300, whatever it was.
He put up like 2K almost.
Yes, true. He did put up 2K, but like on an offense that only had like 3,000 yards and like there were,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like he would be like 50% of a team's offense, if not more. Honestly, Alvin Kamara is kind of basically now that the more I say it, it's basically Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
It
Where
just
he like does everything for a team that's not that good.
yeah. Matt Forte, I just felt like he was just like a
I feel like they got to come out of nowhere too.
yeah.
I have no idea where Matt Forte was drafted, but like Kamara was late, at least.
He was Bama's like third string running back and then went to Tennessee.
Hmm.
Something like that.
That's what they say.
Vince Carter. He
Maybe
went
they're
number
lying.
25.
What's
Huh?
up? Oh, are we just were you just looking up?
No, I
Why?
wasn't. But Vince Carter were number 25.
I thought he wore 15.
I mean,
Well, he
maybe.
probably wore like 20 numbers
I was
because
gonna say he
every
played for
team in the
every team in
NBA.
the league.
Yeah, man. Have you been paying attention to the NBA at all now that it's up and going, or you just like not
Um,
even think about that?
a little bit. I actually watched. Let me. I'm actually literally looking up Vince Carter's numbers as we speak.
He definitely wore 15 somewhere.
15 and 25.
Okay.
Probably wore 50. I feel like I remember him more as 15. But with the
Mhm.
Kings, I think he wore number 25.
Won't surprise me.
Yeah, and not too much NBA.
I've caught a few Kings games.
I've caught a few games. I actually was watching a game last night. Um,
Raptors.
no, I was watching the Sixers Clippers, who were just
Huh.
basically the same team, just one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. Um, and it was relatively, I mean, you know, it's NBA. NBA regular season basketball is just so like tough to watch sometimes.
I will say, um, now that so for anyone that doesn't know, Ian and I are Kings fans.
Oh yeah,
And
baby.
the reason for that is we're from Rochester, New York, and in the 1950s, the Sacramento Kings used to be the Rochester Royals, and they won an NBA championship. So technically, Rochester, New York, our hometown, has an NBA championship. We'll never have the opportunity to ever have a like major sports team ever again, but we will forever be etched into NBA history. And the reason we're not like Knicks fans, this is at least my reasoning, is that and with where Rochester is situated in New York, there's like we're just nowhere near New York City. So I don't know. We're just like not I don't know. Like I barely even know any Knicks fans. I feel like the NBA is just very much like that in general, where unless you like
Yeah.
live in the like legit city, like people just like whoever.
Yeah.
More than other sports, I should say.
Well, that's the thing is it's you look at the big four in the US in terms of regionality. The NFL doesn't rely on regionality almost at all. It's a national brand. Like the reason I say that is like the Buffalo Bills, our hometown team essentially, they'll play on Sunday Night Football, and it'll be like the best Sunday Night Football ratings of the year.
Hmm.
Buffalo is like this the third smallest market in the NFL behind I think in front of the Green Bay. And I don't know where Jacksonville situates, but my point is it's a tiny market, but it doesn't matter. The ratings are still incredible.
Hmm.
MLB and NHL are on the opposite side of the spectrum where they really depend on regionality. If you had, the what was it, the Rangers versus Diamondbacks in the World Series last year, the ratings were bad because they're not national brands. Those teams are not national brands. I mean, they are in some ways, but not to the extent of the Dodgers and the Yankees, who, of course,
I
win
never
World
thought
Series.
about that. And that's probably part of the reason why they don't have a salary cap.
Um,
They almost want the big market teams to have the most success.
well, that's part of it, but also just the CBA would never agree to it at this point. You know what I mean? Like the player CBA would never agree, or yeah, the players would
Yeah,
never
no,
sign
I guess
a
that's
CBA
true.
that would have it at this point. And then the NBA is sort of caught in the middle. Well, the NBA is a bigger brand nationally in a lot of ways than the MLB. Well, at least their players are, right? Like LeBron's infinitely bigger than any MLB player this millennium.
Hmm.
But there's also the regionality of it, of like, you pit the Utah Jazz against the Charlotte Hornets in the finals, and the ratings are going to be pretty bad. You know what I mean? If that
Hmm.
were to ever happen,
Yeah.
whereas like the brand of the star names is still going to be huge though, right? Because if it's like you look at the Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards, like he's a huge name, right? And he's maybe not the biggest name in the NBA by now, but his brand is so big that it's going to elevate the Timberwolves to a certain extent.
Hmm.
So like they're kind of caught in the middle of like, yes, it's still a regional sport, but they're still trying to fight that national, still trying to be like the NFL where they're kind of that national brand, and some teams are and some teams aren't. The reason I say that is like, yeah, the Knicks are, a New York team, but yeah, you're right. It's like six hours away from Rochester almost. To get to New York City. Cleveland is closer to us.
Well,
Toronto
Toronto is the closest. Yeah.
Toronto is the closest. Yeah, Cleveland's closer to us.
Which is
Toronto is
literally another
pretty close
country.
to us. Philly's about the same distance. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's like, at what point are you like, why the Knicks?
And
So
obviously, then there's the Nets.
I know a Nets fan actually. He's from New Jersey though, so I think
Oh, that makes sense.
that makes sense.
But yeah, so that's kind of the reason why that
Yeah,
we are Kings fans, and I love the Kings. And had like growing up, I never really had a specific team I was rooting for. I was definitely a LeBron fan, so I'd kind of like follow
same.
him around. When I was like, middle school-ish, I would legitimately like turn on Heat games. Like they'd be randomly playing the Bucks on a Tuesday night, and I would be like, "Oh, I gotta watch the Heat." I remember that. And then I got older and I stopped doing that. And I think now that I have like an actual team that I'm rooting for, I'm a little more invested. Where we've been like in the Kings for a couple years now, and it's just like I don't know, but it's still like if I got time or I'm like getting in bed and like they're playing,
Yeah,
like I'll just like throw it on. It's not like I gotta watch every minute either, but like I'm checking what happened in the Kings game every single time they play.
yeah,
So I don't know. It's
yeah. It's
definitely
fun
not
to
like
sort of.
NFL or something like that, but there's just less games, and I feel like college basketball has it pretty well set up with 30 games. I feel like that's a pretty good number.
Yeah, I do think the sample size for the NBA regular season is just too big, way
Yeah.
too big.
That's what it comes down to. It's just they
I,
don't matter.
the well, that's the thing too, is like the playoffs almost feel like there's too many games. Like best of seven
Yeah,
in the finals, best of finals seven in the finals makes sense. I'm fine with that. But
in
like
the first round.
The MLB doesn't have best of seven until the championship series, right? Like essentially the
Oh, it
conference
should
finals,
be. Yeah, I mean, it's just like,
So
come on.
it's like we do we
The
really need
playoffs take
7
like two
games in the first
months.
round? I know it's ridiculous. Do we really need 7 games for a 1 versus 8 seed? Like,
I know. Do I really need to watch like Celtics Hawks for 2 weeks?
yeah,
No.
preposterous,
No
preposterous.
way.
And people will say oftentimes like I've always said that I think the NBA regular season is too long, and people will counter with, well, the MLB season is twice as long. What's the point? Well, it's like, well, MLB plays every day, so there's that. Not that you could play the NBA regular season you can't play a basketball game every day or an NBA game every day, I should say. But the reason why MLB games, regular season games, are more interesting is that there is like a different starting pitcher every single day, right? Like, I mean, they
Mhm.
rotate, every 5 or 6 days, but like the NBA, it's like, yeah, it's the same team. Like, there's no, I mean, like they can rotate, like they're gonna rotate, but they're not forced to rotate. Like a starting lineup's going to be, if a team's winning, the starting lineup's going to be very similar, if not the same, every single day against a different team
Mhm.
that's had the same lineup almost every single day as well. So
If they
the
had a
reason I like the
45 game
MLB,
season, it would be sick.
yeah, the reason I like
It would
MLB
be
regular season
awesome.
better is because it's like there's actual like a different, like there's a different, every game
Yeah.
feels different. Every game feels like it's going to be, and maybe NBA, not to say every NBA regular season game is the same. It's not. But also the thing that MLB benefits too is that the regular season or the playoffs, it's harder to make the postseason. There's
Hmm.
just less teams, so it's like regular season games actually do matter more.
Yeah, you got to have one or the other. You
Right.
can either have a long season, but less teams make the playoffs, so games are more important, or you have less games, but then you can allow if you have less games, then you can allow for more teams like the NBA to make the playoffs. But if you
Right.
have a billion games and then 10 teams out of the 15 get a chance to make the playoffs when the regular season's over, it's like, dude, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's yeah. I do like the NBA playoffs a lot.
I do
Like
too, but it just is
once it
like
gets
once we get there,
yeah,
I
once we
like it
get
a
there.
lot. It's the best basketball in the world, but it's like
Yeah.
you gotta get I don't know. Like I'll be very into it then league wide, but I don't know.
But
It
that's the thing
stinks too
too.
because I love basketball.
The NBA will be like, they don't want players to sit out. They don't want this, load management. And it's like 82 games. 82 games is too much. And there's no point. It doesn't matter. Like, you think it matters if the Sixers are the 3 seed compared to the 4 seed? You might say, oh, well, if they're the 3 seed, they don't have to play the Celtics until the conference finals as opposed to the conference semifinals. It doesn't, they have to be the Celtics either way. You know what I mean? It's like the
Yeah,
Celtics aren't going to lose to the Pacers. So, you know what I mean? So it's like, well, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
The seeding doesn't matter.
yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. College basketball is also going,
College basketball is also going.
which is another one of those things. And maybe it's just a basketball thing that I feel like no one cares about until March from a
I
global.
like college basketball a lot.
I love it. And especially it comes down to again, like I think it helps a lot when you have one specific team that you're like, okay, I need to sit down and watch the game for that because then it's not like, okay, I'm watching it I don't know. Like you just get more excited for it when you're more invested. Because like I'm gonna be watching
Yeah.
every Wisconsin game.
Right. No, exactly. I'm gonna watch every Binghamton. I'm gonna try to watch every Binghamton University men's
Let's
basketball,
go. Didn't
and
they
it's
play
funny.
someone
They play Penn State.
Penn
Uh,
State? I was gonna say I remember seeing that they were playing like a team that I care about to some
yeah,
extent.
their season to start. It's always so funny when you look at a team like Binghamton because Binghamton's a low to mid major program, so it's Division 1, but like pretty far down the rung on Division 1. They're in the America East, which will always be a one bid team to the NCAA tournament every single year, even if a team were to go 25-5. Binghamton starts to the season is Penn State a Big Ten team, not that they're a great Big Ten team, but they were a Big Ten team compared to Binghamton. That's huge. And then they play SUNY Oneonta at home, Division 3. And then I think they're back on the road for another Power 5 school. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then it's like after that, it's like Army. It's just so funny how it's just like the whiplash between, you know,
Yeah, that is nuts.
future potential, a team with future NBA players versus a Division 3 team where the kids are, they still take it seriously, but it's certainly a different level. And then back to NBA, and then you're playing Army or something. I don't know exactly what their schedule is, but it's something along those lines. And it's just very funny. I remember last year they played Northwestern at Northwestern and were winning for like up until like the 8-minute mark. And they were leading like the entire game by like 6 or 7 points. And I was like, oh my, if they beat Northwestern, like Big Ten, not that Northwestern's a great Big Ten school, but it is a Big Ten school or program. And then they ended
They've
up
actually
losing.
been like okay at basketball the last few years too.
Right. Yeah, they made the tournament not that long ago for like the first time
Oh yeah,
ever.
it was. I think it was not last year, but the year before.
Yeah. So yeah, it was like one of those
Boo
things where
booey.
it's funny. It's just funny how that you look back, and I love college basketball
I do
so much.
too. It like the college landscape is definitely very weird right now with all the transfers and stuff. And part of it feels like a little just like so I don't know, you get one good player and then he's either gonna transfer or he's gonna go to the league and it's like, well, sick. Like you don't get attached to any of these players, you know. I don't know. Like it's definitely lost that. But I don't know what the solution is. Like how are you supposed to tell them not to do that?
Right. Yeah. I mean, go get your money while you can.
Yeah.
It's tough. Like it's a tough business. You can't tell someone you don't want to suppress wages, right, on a kid
Yeah.
even if like look at a guy like Hunter Dickinson. Was Hunter Dickinson gonna be in the NBA? I don't know. Probably not. And if he is, it's not like I don't think he's gonna have a long career in the NBA. He might be like a drafted late in the second round guy, one of them. And
Hmm.
so am I gonna tell him, no, 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 don't transfer and make $1 million a year on NIL at your new school. Don't do that. Stay a fourth year at Michigan or whatever.
Yeah. It's like
That's like, no, you can't.
yeah. And the one thing I've always thought about is like what if you just treated them like professionals and you could like sign them to
Contract. Yeah.
contracts where it's like, okay, I'm Wisconsin and I'm signing you maybe like I don't know. You get to like if you transfer, then you sign. I don't know. Where like you sign them to like a 2 or 3 year contract, and then they have
Right.
to stay at your school for that amount of time. But then are you getting into the same thing of like then if they're not in a good situation and they went to a different school, they could be drafted higher, and now you're holding them back still, but at the same time they're being compensated. So I don't
Right.
know. And then it's
And
like,
what
are you
happens if
gonna
the
really
coach
like make this 17-year-old at the time like commit to you and like sign for 3 years and like they don't even know what they're doing and they're signing a piece of paper? I don't know.
Well, yeah, and then what happens if your coach leaves? It's like
Right. Then you're just screwed.
because that's the thing too, is I think people have this whole idea where it's like, how could this kid do this? Why would he? And it's like, yeah, the coaches do it too. The moment
Yeah.
in the level of that Binghamton's at, the moment a team has a winning seat or wins that conference or something, they're gonna get calls, more than a
Mhm.
winning seat. You can't just have a winning seat. Once you have an
Yeah.
inkling of success, you have calls from other teams, from higher schools offering you more money. And the coach, is going to take that more times than not,
Right. As they
reasonably
should. I
so.
mean, like, yeah.
And it's like that happens all the time. And I feel like we just sort of are like, yeah, that's expected now. And it's like, we should also expect the same thing out of the player. Like, that makes sense. Why would if a
Yeah.
coach can do it, a player should do it, So,
Yeah. But it's I don't know what the solution is. I don't know how you
um, yeah, I mean, the amateurism it's, there is no amateurism anymore, right? Like,
yeah.
not at high Division 1 levels, certainly, and not at a lot of uh up until I guess a certain program, certain conferences
Yeah.
are,
And that's
but
what makes college basketball so great is that you can go into March and like a 14, I mean, I guess it still happens
it still
regardless.
happens. Yeah.
So I guess maybe where I was going with that is like what's so great is that there's like these great upsets because there's good players on these lesser teams. But I guess it does still happen.
Yeah.
So Maybe because basketball is just like if you have a 1 game sample size, you're gonna get a few weird results.
And that's what's so great about, yeah, that's what's so great about March Madness. I
Right.
also think like it does. I mean, we talked about the coaches aspect. A coach can recruit like an insane, like, at a smaller level to have those upsets. Like there are schools that will recruit like the guys from the Power Five schools who didn't play.
That's
They
true
come,
too.
I mean, so there's both levels to it. I think
Yeah.
overall, it's I wouldn't say leveled the playing field. It hasn't, because whoever has more money is going to do better. Whatever school, but it's opened up a chance for some small schools to kind of punch back, right? And
Yeah,
say
that's a good point.
so.
Like a school that would never be able to recruit a 5 star. The
Right.
5 star goes to Kentucky and doesn't mesh well, isn't the right spot for him, doesn't play at all. Then all of a sudden they have a chance at this 5 star. I mean, I guess that kind of sort of happened before too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that kind of happened before too, really, now that I'm thinking about it.
Well, and not
And
even
the
just
and the
five,
5 star would probably still go to the place where you get the most money.
not even just a
Probably
5 star,
not
but like
the
you look at like FAU from a couple of years ago when they went to the Final Four.
yeah.
They had kids transferring from like Texas A&M who weren't playing, right? And it's just like, not the FAU's a tiny program. Well, I mean, I guess it really wasn't a big program, but you know, kids at big Power Five schools who are saying, "Man, I'm not getting enough playing time," transferring to smaller pro. And yeah, it did still happen. And but the thing with the transfer portal is that like it's instantaneous. You don't have to wait that year, so it's encouraging people to transfer, encouraging kids to
Yeah.
transfer. So
Yeah.
there's both sides of it. Um,
I
but
don't
yeah,
know. I feel like you just gotta kind of, as a fan, you just gotta kind of look at it as like every season is completely different.
yeah,
Like from a
yeah,
fan's perspective, you're not like, oh, we got this great freshman. Like I love this guy. He's gonna be here for a couple years. It's now just like, okay, day one, like this is our team, like let's roll. And then like the season ends and it's like, okay, what's our team gonna look like next year? Which is kind of exciting in its own right.
yeah. I would say Binghamton University is a good example. I mean, 2 years ago, or I mean last year, going into last year, they had Samir Torrance, who was riding the bench at Syracuse University, transfer to Binghamton. And the moment he gets minutes, he's like, I think he led the nation in assists per game or something like that at Binghamton University. And it's just like, like, you think
Yeah,
Samir Torrance was transferring to Binghamton University before the transfer portal and NIL era existed? No, no, he wasn't. And then on the flip side, this year, I'm very curious about Binghamton University because in theory, they're going to be, on paper, they should be worse than they were a year ago because Samir graduated. However, they're one of 5 schools that not have a single kid transfer out.
wow.
So I'm curious how
Gotta
that
build in the
continuity,
culture.
building a culture. So I'm curious how that continuity and if that whatever we joke about the culture, but like I think there is some truth to like, okay, that's going to matter down the line. So I'm curious how that continuity matters and helps, if at all.
Yeah,
So kind of a weird case study. I'm going to be watching tightly, not just because it's my alma mater, but mostly because it's my alma mater.
that is cool. That is cool. I love when people have this is not a shot at Binghamton, but like niche, like deep, like caring for things. Like it's
Yeah.
not often you just find like a specifically like Binghamton basketball, and there's probably a lot of people that went to Binghamton and were just like, yeah, the basketball team is whatever, I don't care, just because they're Binghamton. But then to like take like to really care about them, I think that stuff's cool.
Yeah. I mean
Like
that's totally.
imagine in like at some point in your life, they're gonna like make the tournament and win a game, and it's gonna be the greatest thing of all time.
Yes. No, I think about that all the time, dude. I literally think about that
Like
all the time. Like the
14 or
moment
14 seed Binghamton is gonna win a game one year.
people don't understand some people do, but the dynamics of the America East, it's Vermont and
Mhm.
everybody else. And people are,
Catamounts.
and then yeah, and then the Catamounts go to the NCAA tournament. I think they have 1 or 2 wins all time. I think it'd be Syracuse back in like '08. But like they go to the tournament and then it's just like, oh yeah, there's 14 seed Vermont again. Oh, there's and then but like they're in the America East, they're Darth Vader. They're everything. You know what I mean? Like they are so and the same thing is like can be said about Colgate and the Patriot League. And then they go to the tournament and they might get a win. I don't remember if Colgate last time Colgate won an NCAA tournament game if they've ever done it.
We played Wisconsin a few years ago.
But like there's those teams in those small conferences in America who dominate and ruin a very small portion of people's lives. And like my like you like you were if you were to ask me like, oh, greatest things that could happen in your sports fandom, Bills winning the Super Bowl, Blue Jays winning the World Series. The Binghamton Bearcats beating the Vermont Catamounts in a playoff game would be up there. Like that would be
Hmm.
actually up there. You know what I mean? In terms of things in the realm of possibility. Because like if I had to actually like Binghamton winning an
It's
NCAA,
coming soon. It has to.
you know how long it's been since they've beaten Vermont in the
Like,
regular season,
no.
or in playoffs. I think it was 2015 or 2016. It's literally like they've
So
lost
they're
like
due.
so they're very due.
They're due.
Very due. Vermont
So
lost
that
last night.
always works.
Vermont lost last night by 50
To
uh
who?
to Auburn.
Well, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, but here's the thing is like
I don't know
the
anyone on Auburn's team currently right now because everything changes every year, but they've been
Bruce
very good at
Pearl.
basketball the last few years.
Yeah, Bruce Pearl, head coach, I think.
I think so. I don't think he's left. You don't even know anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Vermont's gonna be very good and Auburn's very good and
Well, I will be cheering for you the day
thank
that
you.
Binghamton upsets. Calling it right now, it's going to be Florida in
Whoa.
the tournament in 2042.
Billy Napier staying. Different sport. But
Yes. All right.
uh
Well, how was it? How was your week?
dude,
Let's
it has
flip it
been
around here.
so we we haven't mentioned it, but there was an election this week.
Yeah.
Presidential. Not that we're gonna talk about politics or anything like that, but that
I
was
would personally rather not.
I'm not. No, I'm not gonna. That's not. I'm saying I'm not talking about politics. I'm not allowed to talk about politics.
Oh, well, there
Um,
you go.
so is that. However, it did happen, and it impacted my life greatly. Not the result of it. Well, the
Being
result
at a
will
news station. Yeah, yeah.
right. The result will impact everyone's lives. But my point is, yeah, working at a news station, uh, an election, is big. It's a big deal. It is local news's. People say it's local news's Super Bowl,
Mm.
which is true in some cases.
That only comes around every 4 years, so it's even.
That well, I mean, election night, there is an election every single year, but
Yeah.
presidential, but
Yeah.
like local news, it doesn't matter if it's presidential or not. Like we're gonna
Okay.
lose.
Okay. Gotcha.
Like it's
It's the
every
Super
single year.
Bowl.
It's the Super Bowl, baby. So my days off are typically Tuesdays and Thursdays. Election night is always on a Tuesday, guys. It's in the I don't think it's in the Constitution, but it's somewhere. It's written down somewhere.
It's in the rules from Harry Potter, Fairly Odd
Fairly
Parents.
Odd Parents.
Yeah.
So didn't have a day off on Tuesday, which is fine. But my week went starting last Thursday. So a week ago, Thursday, you and me talking on this podcast, yada, yada, yada. Friday, high school football. Saturday, long day at work because of high school football. Sunday, Bills play. That's a 12-hour day. Monday, regular 9-hour shift. Tuesday, that's election night.
Super Bowl.
11 a.m. to 12:30 a.m.
Oof.
shift. Long day. And I'm not doing sports. Like I'm covering voter turnout and things of that nature. Long day. Wednesday
Wednesday
in Buffalo in Orchard Park
at practice. Or
practice.
yeah.
So it
I
was
don't know what
long.
I'm allowed to like say for you.
Yeah, I guess I probably should not have said all of that. I don't think I'm allowed to say
Monday you
whatever.
were just randomly in Buffalo for some
Yeah,
reason.
yeah, yeah. I was doing stuff. I was working. So 6 straight days of working in like a lot of hours. A lot of hours working. And so uh tired. I'm very tired.
I bet.
Uh
Do you get any like extra time off right now?
no, but I mean overtime exists, which is cool.
Yeah.
So today I was sort of
So
just like, hey, I'm gonna rot. Like
you're
I'm gonna
swimming in it.
yeah. Oh yeah,
A
for
lot of
sure.
money to put on Binghamton money line against the Catamounts.
Can't I live in New York State? You can't bet on in-state colleges.
Dope.
Yeah.
Didn't even know
Uh,
that was a thing.
yeah. I'm sure it's a thing in North
Now that you
Carolina.
say that, yeah, when I was in Illinois, I was in Chicago. I remember being like, why can I not look at the Illinois football game?
Can't do it.
It makes sense.
Can't do it. I don't know if every state does that. I don't think Iowa has it because remember the Iowa, there was like the whole Iowa or Iowa State quarterback betting on his own games. But
I don't know.
um, where was I going with this? I'm tired,
But you're dead, yeah. That's
so
fair.
I've been
Do you
I've been
feel like I'm exhausted but like proud of yourself for like
yeah.
everything, or is it just like a full-on exhaustion?
So last
Like
night,
sometimes you're tired and you're like, oh, I did a good job. And sometimes you're like, I don't care about anything in life. I'm just dead.
so I actually was excited like in the middle of my day of work yesterday because I was like, I'm gonna get home and have a full day off tomorrow and I'm gonna be so happy with myself. Like, oh my goodness, I did so and I was like, but then I got home and it turns out I was like I was just tired. I was
Mhm.
cranky. You know what I mean? Like I should have just immediately gone to bed, but I did this thing where I was like, I'm gonna enjoy myself. Like I have a couple hours before I have to go to bed. I'm gonna watch TV, watch I don't remember what I watched. Yeah, I watched the as I said, I was watching the Sixers game, play video games, and the entire time I was just like trying not to fall asleep and like really like I was just like upset and I was like, why am I not like just go to bed? Like, what am I doing? Like just go to sleep. Like, and then I went to bed and I woke up and I was in a much better mood and I was like, that makes sense. Like,
Random side topic. Sleep, really underrated
yeah,
in terms of like
a
you
factor
don't
for your mood.
even notice like how much better it makes you all around as a just like operational human being between
Yeah.
getting like a solid 8 hours and then like being underslept and you don't even know. Like there are so many people that just never make it a priority and just get horrible sleep for their entire lives. And like they don't even realize what it does to their body, their mood, their energy. They have no idea. Where like if you go through all the benefits of like having a successful, good, productive, you know, 7 to 9 hours of sleep versus you're being underslept by an hour, it would like literally be a performance enhancing drug and would be illegal everywhere because it is so like potent and like what it does for you. Even for me, like I've been obviously training for my marathon and then I started really focusing on sleep. All of my paces like I guess went down, like I got way faster and I I've been trying to lose some weight and it like started my weight started going dropping way faster and I've been one of the big things about sleep is it's very tied to your hunger hormones and I've been way like I've been feeling more full throughout the day and I'm craving a lot less. Like
Yep.
sweets and stuff like that. There's just like an infinite amount of benefits. Random side topic, but I really wanted to say that.
No, it's true. It's genuinely like yesterday I was like, why am I in such a bad mood? Like I should be happy. I should feel accomplished. And I was like, yeah, well, I slept 4 hours last night. And it was
Hmm.
like, and the night before that, probably slept like five. And it's like, probably just real tired. Like probably just need to go to sleep. And then I did. I woke up this morning feeling like I actually rested. And again, I didn't do much. Like again, I'm rotting, whatever. But like I was sort of just like, yeah, I feel like feel like I can do stuff again. And it was just
Yeah,
more of a better outlook on life. But I agree. I mean, since starting this new job, like I think part of it's also like less stress too. It's like being able to sleep more and not having stress has really helped again those cravings and also lose and that and in turn losing weight which has been interesting. But
definitely.
yeah, so today I'm just not doing much. About to get dinner with my family after this, which I'm
Very
excited for
nice.
because I haven't eaten anything all day. It's
Are you
weird.
going out? Are you cooking?
Going out. So yeah. So
Where are you going? What type of
no
food?
idea. Literally no idea. My dad's like, I gotta go do something and then we'll meet you there. And I was like, okay. And I was like, where do you want me to meet you? And he was like, I don't know yet. So I'll find out soon. Hopefully it's a place I like. That would be good. That'd be better for
That
me.
would be ideal.
That would be real ideal. Um, but
I guess speaking of that, I So got the marathon next week. We're 9 days out, right? And I want to take a time to appreciate some things in my life. Um,
Nice.
so I have it's next Saturday, and um I already have a bunch of friends from Charlotte going to the marathon to like watch me run and going to dinner. We're going to dinner Friday night at this Italian restaurant. Some of them are also running the 5K like within the event,
Right.
but some of them are just going to like cheer and watch. And then within the last week, I have learned that so it was supposed to be a surprise, but um three of our friends are coming to were coming to surprise me, but
Oh wow.
they like let it. It's Dave, Frank, and Mike Pavone. I guess I just dropped last names on here, but no one watches this. Um,
15 viewers. Do not dox
15
them.
viewers. You don't do anything shady to Mike Pavone. So they're coming. I already had uh other Mike, Scott, and Anna and Carol coming. So they're
Nice.
all coming. And then James, who's like a 30-minute drive away, is now also coming. And between all of that and my friends in Charlotte, I have a 20-person reservation at this
Wow.
restaurant. And then people coming to watch the marathon, which is very cool. And I'm very lucky that I have people that like
That's
care enough to do that. And I know part of it is just like you're going out to dinner and you're just like going to have a good time and it's like something going on. But I feel very lucky to have like that many people that just
yeah.
like, yeah. But
Drop a hit.
I don't feel
Sick.
like that's like normal, and I am very grateful.
So the marathon Saturday.
Hmm.
Okay, so it's the night before. That is sick. Yeah, that's huge. No pressure though. Can't burn out like tear your ACL in like
I
a
know
mile.
me and Mike have a lot of pressure to, at the very
Right.
least, finish this marathon. But the
Yeah.
goal is 3 hours and 30 minutes.
Okay.
Self to that, which is a lofty goal. That is an 8-minute pace. My original goal was sub 4 hours, which is 9-minute pace, which I was originally not sure I was going to be able to do. But prep has gone very well, and I think 3.5 is like should be my goal where it's like I don't know if I can do it, but it's something good to shoot for. And I've been saying it out loud so I can just hold myself to that standard. So that's the goal. And yeah, there'll be a bunch of people cheering me on, so it'll be sick. And then after
That's
we're gonna
awesome.
get donuts and go to this like Mexican restaurant or something and just like
That's
drink
sick.
margaritas and eat tacos. And then I'm gonna just like drink all day, probably, realistically. And
Nice.
probably like my body will reject me and like just shut down at some point.
Yeah, as I say, that's the first alcohol you'll have had in months, right?
Not
Even a month.
months. I've been training for 4.5 months. So I've been like
Limiting.
honestly, I haven't really been holding back that much until in terms of like drinking like I normally drink like once a week or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, and I will have been sober for I think a little over a month, maybe a month and a half
Yeah,
leading up to this.
yeah, it's not gonna be. I feel like your body should be fine. Maybe just like it'll be like a. I think just because you're gonna be tired and lightweight, you're gonna probably, and
Yeah.
lightheaded, you're
I'm
like good.
honestly more excited about the food.
Yeah,
Like I'm just gonna feel like zero guilt just eating like
for
trillion
sure, for
donuts.
sure.
And I've been running past this like same donut shop every single time on my runs. And I specifically have had no donuts on the prep because I'm like, that's what I'm gonna have when I'm done. So it's gonna be electric.
Yeah, it should be fun.
And then I'm coming home for Thanksgiving the week after. So then we can hang,
Yeah,
which will be
that'll be
dope.
exciting.
We could have in-person podcasts.
We can have
That would be
in-person
nuts.
podcasts. People will
Oh,
be
yeah.
like, they'll see our full bodies and be like, "Wait, that's what they look like." And I have 4 legs. People, I don't
Yeah.
even know.
It's kind of weird, but we just
Yeah,
say, right.
people usually just pretend like it's not there.
Yeah, yeah. But
But
yeah,
however,
so I guess you can say I can say my goal for next week.
finish a marathon.
Finish a marathon. Don't die.
Well, technically, it's more, isn't it? Next time, like our next
Oh
podcast.
yeah, I guess you're right. It'll be
Don't
the
know
goal for the
between
next
now and
one.
next episode.
It'll be next week, but yeah. Yeah, that's literally my goal from now until then is like rest up, eat food, and don't die. That's all I
Nice.
gotta do. Pretty simple life.
Nice, nice, nice.
What about your goals for next week?
Oh man. Oh man, not so I said last week that I had an episode or there was gonna have a video. I did post the video.
Wait, why
On
haven't I seen
uh because I didn't I'll send it to you.
it?
But I posted on YouTube. I don't even think it did well on YouTube in terms of views or whatever. But it was a lot of really hard work. And by that, I mean, it only took me a couple hours. So very grew. It was my day off when I did it, but it was a very fun project that sort of I've kind of been reinvigorated. Not just by that. I mean, that was cool, but like the last couple of days of, again, I was working crazy hours, working an insane amount of work, and the same amount of days. But at the same time, it was very rewarding. And like kind of like I was in a funk. I was in a funk for a long time at work, just feeling like I wasn't, again, it's a new job, but I felt like I wasn't doing the same quality of work that I had done in my previous job. And I kind of was down on myself, really, really down on myself the last couple weeks, in terms of, how I felt like I wasn't feeling like I was doing, living up to the standard that I wanted to be at. And the last
I feel like
couple of
I
days,
got that energy from you a little bit.
yeah, I felt like I was just sort of, I was doing, I wouldn't say the bare minimum. I was trying to do a lot more, but I was kind of failing. I was coming up short. And the last couple of days, I've kind of uh, really kind of uh, felt the opposite. Like I feel like I'm kind of finding my stride, finding my footing, and I'm like, okay, this is what it's supposed to be like, right? Like this is good, like and feeling really accomplished and feeling like, yeah, I can do this. Like I felt scared for the first time in a long time at the start of this job, and that was like, feeling scared is one thing, but feeling scared and it being a feeling you haven't felt in a couple years is like, whoa, it's like, it's a add some drama. So that was cool. So I'm feeling reinvigorated. That I know you asked me what my goal was, and I kind of went on a spiel, but
No, that was
uh,
great.
in terms of this goal, I don't know. I want to just keep this up. Like I want to.
Yeah.
I even said to myself like last week or 2 weeks, I was sort of like floundering. I felt like, and I was like, once I find my stride, I can't look back. It's like once you find your stride, once you hit this streak, gotta keep it up. And that's sort of where I'm at is like I want to feel comfortable again. Like I want to get back in my own. And as I'm doing this and as I'm feeling it this way, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure it sticks and make sure it stays and um, you know, keep it that way. Like when I was in Binghamton, there were moments like I felt like I couldn't lose. Like there were moments where I was genuinely like, dude, we're so good at this. Like like I was the most confident man on earth working in market 162, you know? And maybe I shouldn't have felt that way, but it was a good feeling and it felt like I couldn't miss. It felt like I couldn't lose. I was a man on fire. And then to go from that to feeling scared out of my life at this new job was a very humbling feeling. And now I'm sort of working myself back up. And so to wanting to kind of stick and feel, continue to do things I'm proud of. And I think that's sort of what I went back to was like, go back to the well, do what works and do stuff you're happy to do. Happy to work on. So continuing to do that would be cool. I do want to make, again, I did 2 documentaries in the last year and a half. I want to do a third. I know I'm going to do a third. So I thought about that a lot last night as I was like trying to go to sleep. Where it's like, what's gonna be the next thing? And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but it was like I do want to make a third documentary, and I want to do everything in my power to make that happen. Um, by February almost. I know that's like I want to throw something out there. I want to throw something at the
It
wall and
helps.
make sure
Yeah.
I hold myself to it. Because that's the reason I said February is the last 2 documentaries I've done have come out in February. So it'd be
Mm.
3 years in a row, 3 Februarys in a row where I have a documentary come out. So that's sort of the idea. So not necessarily like a concrete goal, but just sort of to keep this, as I said, I felt like I couldn't lose when I was in Binghamton. Let's say I'm 4-0 in my last four right now. I want to make it 5-0, and so that's a good feeling to want to continue to hone in on.
Definitely.
Because your mind is a powerful thing. What
Definitely.
what you control is important in your own life.
100%. Two things I want to comment on there.
Sure.
First, back to what you were saying about feeling comfortable, feeling scared. Um, I think comfort is a great thing when you start to like master something. But
Yeah.
I think it's important to know, like, the only way to get better and get to that next level is chasing after something that does scare you like that.
Right. For sure.
Um, and you've completely done that and you've taken that head on and you're getting through that process of being scared. And now you're in the process of mastering this level. And then you're going to have to make it to the next level, you're gonna have to remember that feeling and like go after that again. And it'll be something that'll have, even higher stakes or that make you more scared. And that's really cool. That's something that's been like kind of my motto throughout the marathon prep is I never really thought I'd be able to run a marathon,
Yeah.
but my, motto has kind of been, find something that scares you and, go hunt it down and prove to yourself that you can do it and that's when I think I know people always tell you to be like proud of yourself and what you've done. And I think that can be, over exaggerated a little bit to kind of like pat everyone on the back. But like to your core, to yourself, when you do something, accomplish something that you were originally really unsure if you could actually do it and you were scared, I think that's when you can be truly proud of yourself and truly internalize being proud
For
of
sure.
what you've done. So I think that's really cool. And then the other thing you said, how saying something out loud um is really important because your mind is very powerful. Um I was kind of so I had the 4 hour goal and I've been like thinking about this 3.5 hour goal for the marathon and I finally reached the point where like I really want to like put that out there and like say that to people.
Hmm.
Um and I think I was partly hesitating because if I didn't say it, then I didn't have to hold myself to that
Yeah.
standard and goal. Um, so I think that's really important. And then you saying, I'm going to have this documentary out by February, that like that's very important because then you internally, unconsciously are holding yourself to that standard. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I appreciate that. And yeah, it's true. It's like what you were saying earlier, like moments ago, about, doing something you're proud of. And I think, and yeah, as I said, people can use it to pat everyone on the back, but it's like at the end of the day, you can't lie to yourself about whether or not you're proud of something you've done. And so in turn, like there's no greater feeling than doing something that you didn't think was possible, something you wanted to do, something you've always dreamt of doing, and doing it, you know, doing it and it actually challenging yourself, right? Like if you're doing something and it's easy and it's like, oh, cool, I did this, I whatever, something that's you can figure out in a week, but like
Mhm.
pushing yourself and continuously surprising yourself, doing something that you can look back on in a couple of years and be like, how the hell did I do that? You're going to still, of course, wanting to be growing and learning, but it's like, it's still something you can be impressed on years down the line. Um, so it's like trying to find that and shock yourself, right? Like, don't lie to yourself. Do something that'll shock yourself as opposed to just trying to make yourself feel good. If that makes sense.
Mhm. Definitely. Well, I think that's a good spot to end.
I think it might be. I think it
We
might be,
started
Jamie
off
boy.
talking about who's the Matt Forte in the NFL and ended with
Yeah.
life advice about how to live life to the fullest. There we go. You're now 2 for 2 on episodes ending with the Riz face. I hope you know
I'm
that.
addicted to it. It's bad. It's real bad. My girlfriend hates it, dude. She fucking hates it. She's like,
I think
you
that's
look,
how we got to end every episode now.
she's like, you look like a frat boy, and I'm like, that's the Rizzler is a 7-year-old child. I don't know how old he is.
No,
I don't
that
think.
I think that's actually true. So I think I literally saw somewhere that he was born in 2017, which made me feel very old.
Whoa, that's when I got my driver's license, dude.
Yeah, dude, we are washed. We're shot.
Actually, I got it in 2018, I think, but that's not important.
We're washed. All
We
right,
are very washed. You're about to run a marathon, but yeah, you're washed.
we're washed. All right, peace out, everybody. See ya for the Le'Veon Bell episode. All right, yeah.